What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Van Chats on the Out of Collective Networks. I'm sitting with Sandy Kellin, who is the founder and creator of all things Xendurance. I mean, and here's the thing. Let's go ahead and I'm going to give you guys a quick, brief synopsis of how I found this guy. And long story short, I see ads. Ads pop up everywhere, and supposedly there's this product that essentially. Without being too frank, it can make you a superhuman. And I know this sounds ridiculous, and I didn't believe it, and I thought it was a load of shit. And it's kind of crazy even saying that to Sandy, the guy who developed the product. But I bought it. I went out, I bought it, I purchased it full price. I didn't even take the nice, kind offers that they try to give you. And I bought it, and I used it for 3 days, and all of a sudden I started seeing crazy shit happen. Long story short, I got intrigued. And I had to meet you, Sandy. And so now you're sitting in front of me and you're going to explain this product to us, man. But anyways, before we get into that, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. And thank you for having me today. I love talking about the product because the product is so good. No one wants to tell anybody about it. So for me to have a chance to visit with you and kind of tell you the story and why it is, it's amazing, then it's fun for me. And I enjoy doing this. Yes.
No, and that's awesome. And yeah, like I said, I purchased the product. I went out and got it myself. I tried to see if they sold it anywhere, but long story short, I mean, I know they sell it at a few different places, but I had to get it through the online distributor, and I just bit the bullet. But it was probably one of the best things I did for my athletic career here near the tail end because, I'm seeing lifetime best power numbers, almost 30, 40 watts increase. So let's just dive into where does like Xendurance even start? Like, how do you come up with Xendurance? Like, what's your background? Who are you? And how does somebody come up with something like this?
Well, I really kind of follow a similar background to you. I played collegiate football. Excuse me. And after that, I got involved in the sport of bobsledding. So I spent a great deal of time in Europe, and all of my European friends and people I competed against would say, can you bring us this nutrition and this protein from the United States? Because we can't get it here in Europe. And so when I quit competing, probably in my early 40s, I built a company in Europe called Euro Nutrition. And I wanted to build products. Well, I'd be honest with you, John, I built the products for me. I wanted the best products that I could find. So I built a great joint product for joint pain, because obviously when you get done competing and you get older, you've got joint pain. And I also wanted to build amazing antioxidant product so I could help free radical damage. Oxidative stress, free radical damage is what causes us to age. And I built that. I built a few other products. I built a product to actually lower body acid, because inflammation is the leading cause of many of our diseases too. So it's also called a silent killer. So that's how I started doing that and marketing to the medical profession. And I built an office in Venlo, Netherlands. We'd go to conventions in Germany for the doctors, and I'd educate them. And because you could not buy anything of any value, nutritional value in Germany at all. When I started, if you wanted more than 60 milligrams of vitamin C, you had to get a prescription from the doctor. And that was all controlled by the pharmaceutical industry, literally and people that know Germany, have been to Germany, there's an apothecary shop on every corner in Germany, because that way the government ends up paying for all of your stuff. So working directly with doctors. And then long story short, I had a doctor come up to me. She's a female, Dr. Michaela Dole. She's a PhD in nutrition, head of a big department in the university. And she goes, she asked me about these different ingredients and how do they work. And I talk about, Dr. Dole, it's not what you and I eat, it's what we absorb. So we want to have the most bioavailable nutrients in our body so the body works, more efficiently. And she says, can I write about what you're doing? And I said, well, sure. And so she's written several books about the products, the formulas that we built in Europe. And one of them became a bestseller called Gelenkpower, which is the German word for joint power, and has been published in a handful of different, languages. But anyway, starting from there and lowering body acidity. I was with a friend of mine who is a two-time All-American hurdler on a state. He was helping me over there, and we're having a beer garden, and he goes, "Wow, man, if we could just lower lactic acid, some way that we could do that." And it started me thinking about, how I could formulate something to do that. So over a period of several months, maybe even more than a year, I was able to come up with a formula. Open label trials were amazing, and then I decided to, spend a lot of money and do a double-blind, placebo-controlled, third-party crossover study, which had to be a third-party study had to be part of that, because in order to get something published in Germany, they want to make sure that I had nothing to do with it. And so we
Hmm.
did that, and we came up with an amazing product. And the more research we do on it, the more blown away I am. And you're absolutely right. It's a game changer. I mean, it literally, people, everybody like yourself, everybody's blown away, especially when they can measure it on their bikes. I mean, they see their heart rate's the same, and they can generate, 10, 20, 25% more power at the same heart rate. They go, wow, this is amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is like, a lot of people are using either beta alanine or even sodium bicarb, and even some supplement companies aren't being very creative. And so like that's, and without telling your secrets and all that craziness, you know, they're like, for example, like Osmo Nutrition, they tried that preload for a while where essentially it had sodium bicarb in it. And, for you guys that don't know what sodium bicarb is and what it does to the body, well, it is a lactate buffer. It has been proven to work. But it also has been proven to make a fifth grade science project in your stomach, and potentially you may shit yourself. You know what I mean? And so it's not,
You know,
there's a cost and
it's
effect reward with that.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because Jürgen Sessner, who ended up being the third party researcher, was a for 10 years, he was a strength and conditioning coach in the Bundesliga. And he became intrigued with human performance, and he built a human performance lab and a gym. And when I met him, he had done like 8,000 stress tests. I'm sure it's over 20,000 now. But anyway, we talked to the head nutritionist who was responsible for the men's U.S. national soccer team when they're getting ready to go to Brazil. And she's bringing up about beta alanine. She has them do that. And we both looked at her and said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Beta alanine was discovered back in the year 1900. And then they didn't find out what it really did until 1932. And it's a precursor to your body's carnosine, your body's ability to lower acid. But you might have to take it for several weeks, if not several months. And some people get tingly thing. And I mean, to me, that's like being in a horse and carriage. And when you take our product, I mean, I can tell you not only does it lower lactic acid, I'll just give you 8 things it does. Reduces, lactic acid, reduces oxidative stress by 39%, reduces CK levels by 63%, increases aerobic threshold by 41%, increases VO2 max, increases power with the same heart rate, helps reduce inflammation, and helps balance body acid. And that's in one product. That's why this product, Extreme Endurance, by the way, John, just to let you know, Extreme Endurance and this product here, Essential, are the exact same product. This is kind of
Okay.
more
So there you go, guys.
yeah, this is more for the athlete, thinking this is, what I need to take. But this is what you and I and your parents and everybody should be taking, because all of the things I told you, this product does that. So for me, it's like you want to be in a horse and carriage, you want to get in my Ferrari and blow it away, because this is going to be in your system in 70 hours that month.
Yeah. And so I guess again, without, tapping into the secret, one thing I found that was very frequent in your products was this black pepper fruit. And
Yeah.
so what is the key to this black pepper fruit, and with why is this in all your products? And I guess because it's what's crazy is what's crazy is the fact that you know like you hear about these protein powders, you hear about these supplements, and it's like, okay, cool, creatine. And like, you have to take creatine for a long time, and you have to put in a lot of work to actually see the benefits of creatine. And then beta alanine. It's kind of the same thing. It's like you're taking it for a long time and you're getting these crazy tingles. And that's kind of how you think it's working. It's
Right.
like, okay, maybe it's working.
Yeah.
But I actually, within 72 hours, as crazy as it sounds, and usually if it's, if I'm feeling something this drastic, I'm starting to get worried and I'm checking the back of the label to make sure it's informed choice, which it is. And
Yeah.
but yeah, like I actually felt like I was recovering faster. I felt like I had more energy throughout the day. When I was taking in my cup of coffee, I felt like I was actually absorbing my cup of coffee. And almost as if I came off caffeine for a little while and I was feeling refreshed. And so where does this black pepper fruit and like what's the deal behind that? And
Well, black pepper fruit, it does a couple things. One, it's a good antioxidant. It's not the most powerful, but it's an antioxidant, so it's going to help minimize and free radical damage. But it's a thermogenic, John. So by that I mean it increases the temperature of the intestinal lining, and by doing that, you increase more blood flow around the intestine, and therefore small
Mhm.
intestine, and therefore you increase absorption. And the absorption is quite a bit more effective when you have that as part of your product. Yeah, that's a trade secret. Although I have to tell you, I see more and more companies adding that in because the word's kind of gone out. That this does increase absorption, and it goes back to my initial statement. It's not what you and I eat; it's what we're able to absorb, and so it's a huge part of the ability of these products to work at a higher level. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for somebody that's interested in taking a supplement, and again, like this is gonna sound sponsored, guys. Like this is almost sounding like as if because I'm gonna have a code for you guys to go check out and things like that. But just so you guys know, XEndurance doesn't pay me any money. Like I said, when I got the product, I paid for the product. I actually asked for Sandy to come onto this podcast. Like none of this has anything to like none of this is sponsored. I'm just so intrigued by this product. And so what when you're saying when somebody's looking to try Xendurance, would you say that the extreme endurance is probably the product to start with?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, if you're a serious athlete, that's one product that you'd want to start with. My favorite product is Immune Boost. Just to let you know, when we started and did all these clinical tests, Jurgen, as I said, was he's probably one of the best triathlon coaches in Germany, and he was so blown away. And then people like Timo Brock, he's a 9-time Ironman winner. And this is back when we developed the product. So back in 2007 and 2008 and 2009, Timo won the Frankfurt Ironman, single second biggest Ironman in the world. And he set a record. He ran it under 8. He ran it at 7:59, and he ran a 2:43 marathon split. And for the next 6 weeks, they were knocking on his door to have him take tests, to make sure that he wasn't drugging. So so we have a long record with that. And so, yeah, that would be one thing. But and then Timo's down in Spain, Lanzarote in the wintertime, and he he calls me and he goes, Sandy, he goes, a lot of us down here, because we train so hard, we get colds. Do you have anything to help us with colds? And I said, yeah, I have this product called Vital 40 Power that we have the physicians give their patients that are recovering from whatever. And yeah, I can send it to you. And boy, he and Yvonne Van Verken and those 4 or 5 athletes we had on it, they came back and said, this is amazing. And so we changed the name to Immune Boost. And since that time, John, just to let you know, because nutrition changes almost as fast as technology, and we've
For
added,
sure.
several new ingredients that are more powerful antioxidants and all that. So it is simply it's a nutrition store in a pouch, and anybody who's going to train hard should absolutely be on. Those would be my 2 ones that you'd want to take for sure to be as healthy as you can and recover as fast as you can. And I'm currently doing a study at the University of North Carolina with Essential, which is extreme endurance, and Immune Boost right here. And then we're doing Omega plus D3, and which I call 130 octane. And we're going to have that done by the end of October, and I think when people see the results of that, they're going to be blown away. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you made a comment earlier, and I made a comment trying to, because I want people to know that this isn't essentially one big ass ad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make it sound like that. And so, you made a comment about third party testing. Do you guys still partake in third party testing? Is there a place where some of these listeners can maybe go check that stuff out and
Yeah,
see what
and
that's
you
like?
should know that HFL, when we started, they're out of Cambridge, England at the time. HFL was the only people who were testing nutritional products, and so we had an office, as I mentioned, in the Netherlands, and so I contacted them, and we are the first American company to ever use them. So that's HFL now is LGC, which is Informed Choice and Informed Sport. We have had all of our products are all tested. All of our products are stamped with that. So we've done that since day one, and I can tell you that over the course of the last 15 years, I'm sure thousands, if not tens of thousands of athletes and collegiate athletes have been tested for drugs. And, we're as clean as a house cat, so to speak.
Yeah. And with all that all being said, because I'm trusting in the cleanliness of the product. My question is the truth of the product, right? And we even chatted about this a bit in the green room. I think it was with you a little bit. We were talking about pre-workout and how like people just like put creatine in pre-workout, and like they just put this random shit in pre-workout, and you guys don't do that, And so do you guys still do testing on the products to show? Because one thing that I've found with Xendurance that I haven't found with any other supplement company, and I've been sponsored by sunglasses companies, I've been sponsored by supplement companies just because, okay, cool, I don't have to pay for it anymore, right? But what I started to realize is that with that comes a cost of, okay, you don't have to pay for it, but now you have to take it. And so with this though, everything that has been said has been executed. So like even in the lean product, like I started taking the lean product because and I've been pairing it with a pretty decent diet, but I'm already down 3 kgs in the matter of 10 days. And so it's like it's amazing how the products work. And so it's like, if there's not a single supplement company in the world where I'm like, hey, if you go try their protein powder, you're going to want to buy everything off their shelf. And like I told you, as I bought the Extreme Endurance, and now I'm like, I'm even wanting to buy your creatine, and creatine's just creatine, right? At this point. So yeah.
And I'll get into that because it's not, but with your comment in general, I think back in the Olympic Games that were in Barcelona, Spain, that's when creatine became known because of the 100-meter times for both the winner for Great Britain and the winner in the women's for us. But creatine, and John, maybe like you, I started taking it, I've been taking it for years. And, I'd have an upset stomach. I'd be a little nauseous or bloated, and it was just terrible. And I found a company in Europe called Creapure, and they just made such a pure creatine that it was totally absorbed. So it was 99.9% pure, and they've done numerous clinical studies on it. And that's what I take. But the other thing that we add to it, which we haven't even talked about. So when you study lactic acid, you have to think of two things, not one. So they're lactate right here. I'll say this is lactate. And the hydrogen ions acid. So we were able to lower lactic acid, and at that time allowed lactate to work more completely. We are, to my knowledge, the only company that I'm aware of in the world that uses lactate as a fuel source, like in our Fuel 5, lactate's in there, in our creatine, lactate's in there. We put in our protein, lactate's in there. We put lactate in everything we possibly can because it's like, I call it mainlining fuel. It's your body's preferred fuel. It's what your heart, John, runs on 100%. And everybody who sees us on, their heart runs on lactate. So we put that in it on as many things as we can. So yeah, we use the science and the research that we've done, and we constantly learn from it. You asked about other studies we've done. We've done some studies with those 3 products I told you about, with a 43-year-old guy, actually Jason, 48-year-old woman, housewife who was a former athlete, and an 81-year-old guy that I met in the gym, and they were blown away because the researcher, Anna Sparks, we have this guy, 81 years old, and
Yeah.
Craig goes, how did I do? And she goes, what do you mean, how did I do? I said, well, how did I do for my age? She goes, I don't have a chart for people 81. My chart's usually at 50 because anyone over 50 who can increase their VO2 max is rare and almost unheard of. Well, how did I do? She said, you increase your VO2 max by 2% and you increase your power by 15%. And for an 81-year-old man, that's the holy grail. So
That's
we keep
insane.
testing things and learning more. So it's exciting. And me personally, what's my goal? My goal is to live a long, healthy, active life. And I'm that. I have to tell you, I'm an old guy. I'm 77 years old, but I can still do incline dumbbell presses with 75, 80 pounds, 20 reps or whatever. And I feel great. I take no medication. I mean, I've got more energy in me than most people can believe. So I'm living proof this stuff flat works if people want to live a long, healthy life, period. I love
And so
everything.
so that being said, like, to kind of capitalize on that, because we've kind of talked, like, for example, like, my power's gone up from the low 400s into the mid 400s for a long duration of time, which is a huge increase. And if the
Sure.
cyclists that are listening to this, you guys know that's a huge increase. But what if you're just because you keep one thing that we really haven't touched on, and it's partially my fault because I'm the athlete and I'm like trying to like turn you away and back into performance. But for the normal Joe, like, let's just, and you made a comment about the 81-year-old, but like, let's say they don't even work out. Like, they're not even testing their VO2 max. And you've kind of hinted at it. You haven't really said it, but you're making it sound like the moment you stop being an athlete, you better make sure you're still taking either extreme endurance or essential. Like, so what's your thought on that? Like, just the normal person taking this product as well, and why?
I think anyone who understands the science and research we put in, and that's why I'm doing this study in North Carolina. Once you see the results of what this does, you either have to be brain dead or not have a pulse to take it. I don't care what your age is, because it's going to increase the quality of your life. It's going to minimize your chances of getting those degenerative diseases that are caused by oxidative stress. I can just tell you there was a study done, 10 years ago on a product that had some, I don't want to get too technical, some NFR2 activators. John, in every cell in our body, and we have billions of them, every cell has an NFR2 activator, okay? And visualize a cell with a little thing in there. When that little thing gets stimulated, it puts a protective shell, if you will, around the cell to protect it from free radical trying to attack it, okay? Anyway, this study was done with 6 people for 30 days, and they had a 40% reduction in oxidative stress. And I'm going to paraphrase this because that's not the exact quote, but it's really close. Washington State University said, this is the biggest discovery in disease prevention in the history of medicine. So we did it with this product, one product, with 16 people in 10 days and had a 39% reduction. And it only has 2 NFR activators in it. This has got 16 right here, 16, and that's going to be in the test. And the test that these folks did at Washington State, they had 5. So when I get this test back, you're going to see oxidative stress reduction be so high that literally you have to be brain dead not to want to take this, because if you care about your health, and you're going to agree with this, it's more important our health, right? So people people need to invest in their health. And I'm an old athlete, but I still want to live a long, healthy life. And there's a little bit of athlete in every one of us. And so, that for me, that's my goal. I mean, that should be in my tombstone. Sandy wants to make sure people live longer. So that's what I want to do.
No, for sure. And I could tell that because like I said, the athlete in me was trying to steer you towards performance. And then, the normal human in you was like going, hey man, like, this is actually something that you might want to think about taking for a long time, just to have a basic, normal, healthy life. And so then that being said, is there a need to take, like, is there any counterintuitiveness, or is it just overkill if you're taking essential and extreme endurance, or should you
They're
take
the
both?
same product. They're big.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I can literally tear these open, pour them out, and they're the exact same product.
Got it. And so cool, man. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And so let's dive into some of the other little products that you guys have. I had the luxury of trying the Fuel 5, and that's actually that's my third favorite product you guys make. My second favorite product you guys make is the lean cookie dough, because it tastes like cookie dough. It's really really rich and really 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 good. So guys, even if you don't,
vegetarian protein, and it's
so good.
2 years to develop that. It's the best veggie protein anybody's ever going to take. It's smooth and creamy, and it's awesome. So
it's one of the first proteins I've ever had, because you either get one or the other, right? You get like a kind of gummy, weird aspartame taste, or you get one that doesn't mix very well. This one does both. Like, it's literally like drinking a milkshake almost. And it has like your daily servings of greens in it, I believe.
It could be used. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. And so that's great in itself. But the fuel, I found, one thing that's really hard for us endurance athletes is carbohydrate intake. And on top of carbohydrate intake, when you're taking in carbohydrates, is the gut rot, the sugars, the added sugars. What I noticed with fuel is that even if I did 2 to 3 scoops, I didn't get that gut rot. I didn't get that same feeling. And when I started to look at it, there are some added sugars, but I feel like there's some added quality in this with the V6 and the V12. So how did you guys go into create? And there's your favorite, the lactate is in there too. That's one of the only hydration mix / carbohydrate mix where I've seen the lactate in it.
Yeah, and it is in the world, and no one else has even done that. I'm going, if you do research, you should know this stuff. But so many nutrition companies, it's all hype and advertisement, and it's sad, because we want to stand way above that. So
and so I guess how do you guys go about it? Because I'm looking at your proprietary carbohydrate complex, which, if for the bodybuilders and crazy guys that listen to this, they know that you can create your dextrose and maltodextrin and sucrose, and then I see organic sweet potato powder. And so again, how is this created? How is this thought process going?
I wish I could take credit for doing this whole thing by myself, but I can't. Jürgen Sessner, who's a strength and conditioning coach and triathlete, tester and trainer, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. And like I said, by now he's probably done 20,000 stress tests. And so anyway, I asked Jürgen, I go, Jürgen, what's the best, product you found for an endurance athlete? And we talked about a few things. And then I said, why don't you come up with your 4 best ingredients? And I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to come up with my 4 best ingredients. And so what we came up with is that we wanted 2 complex carbohydrates, and the sweet potato is one of them. And then we had 2 short-term carbohydrates. So we have quick energy, and then we want extended energy. And then we put in lactate, which is going to be your more quicker energy. But he came back and he goes, Sandy, this is all great, but we need to make it so it's not very sweet, because the longer you compete, the more sweetness it is. And because things like Gatorade and stuff, they're a syrup after a while, and they're terrible. So this is a sweet, it's almost like a watered down Kool-Aid that's very clean, no aftertaste. And I got to tell you, it's the best. I mean, it really is good.
It is very palatable. And this is coming from a guy where, I got on a macro kick. And so I was like, well, there's no difference between a Gatorade and your normal, whatever, off the shelf, BS overhyped hydration mix. It's just sugar with, salt and some other things added into it. I tried Fuel 5. was expecting the same exact thing and got blown away because it didn't leave that gummy taste in my mouth. And then I was like, Jesus Christ, is it just because like literally I thought when I took Extreme Endurance, when I took the Extreme Endurance, I'm thinking like, oh, it's the black pepper fruit. That's what I'm trying to like hack this, you know? And so the moment I looked at the Fuel 5, I'm like, it's the sweet potato powder. That's what does the difference. When I know there's probably more to it than just that, but I was just blown away. And so yeah, and so you're saying that the whole thought process was to counteract those
Exactly.
so it's essentially
we and with Jurgen, it obviously road tested with his athletes and himself because he's a triathlete too. You know, they road tested everything they could find in Europe, and you know, so with his help and with the research I've done here, and then you know, I wanted to use for a complex carbohydrate, so let's try sweet potato, and so we did that, and we knew we had a home run once we started testing it. So yeah, good stuff.
No, that's awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you all day, and you know, before I dive into my last question for you, I do want to ask you. So, you know, we kind of hinted on it that, you know, if you haven't tried Extreme Endurance or XEndurace, one of the two products that you would recommend trying would be the Immune Boost, the Essential, or the Extreme Endurance, but as a pair.
Yeah.
Is so like if you know you're talking to the guys and gals out there that are listening to this podcast, is that like pretty much your go-to, hey, this is what you should start with, and then make your decision from there? And also, guys, just so you know, they do have a 30-day guarantee. So if you don't start to feel like this shit's working and you feel like it's a load of crap and we're just over here talking a bunch of shit, you can send it back. They'll send your money. No worries, no qualms. And I think they put that there for a reason. So I'm going to say
it. You know, from an owner, from the developer, if you aren't happy with these products and you don't think they're doing what they should do, send them back. I'm going to give you everything back. I mean, it could, yeah. I mean, it's just, I know it's going to work because I've been doing this long enough and talking. Yeah. So the other third thing I would put in, and I didn't realize how important D3 is. Vitamin D3, but it's hugely important, and we learned the importance of it even more during the pandemic. But this is Omega plus D3, so it's two products in one, and it has 1,000 milligrams of EPAs and DHAs, which are the really important nutrients in fish oil. It's got 4,000 units of vitamin D, and it's in a triglyceride form. What does that mean, Sandy? Well, triglyceride form is more bioavailable than any other form of oil, fish oil that you can get. So, and it's two products in one. You and I could go to Costco and I'd say, John, you know, give me 4,000 units of vitamin D3 and, you know, and get me some good omega. And we go to checkout and it's going to cost you a lot of money. Even at Costco, this is going to be cheaper than anything they could find at Costco, and it's a gazillion times better. So that's my three go-to.
So the Immune Boost, Extreme Endurance / Essential, and then the Omega D3 product. Absolutely. And so for the last question, this is going to be totally off the cuff, and I always surprise people with this question because I'm always intrigued at what they can come to under a quick draw of a question. But if you could have a cup of coffee with one individual, and if you don't drink coffee, you could do beer. If you don't drink beer, you can do Kool-Aid, tea, whatever. But if you could have a drink or a cup of coffee with one individual, who would that individual be, dead or alive? And then why would you have a drink or a cup of coffee with that individual?
I had an opportunity with a gentleman named Jesse Owens. Okay.
Yeah.
When I was bobsledding, I was trying to raise money to pay for bobsleds. They're very expensive. And Jesse had an office here in Phoenix, public relations office. So I thought, well, I'll call him, I'll ask him. And so, you know, I called and secretary, and this voice comes in, hi, this is Jesse Owens. And John, I was speechless for, I'm sure it seemed like forever, but it was probably 2 or 3 or 4. I go, Jesse, my name's Sandy Kellin. He goes, Sandy, how can I help you? And I said, Jesse, I've been training in bobsledding over in Europe, and sleds are really expensive and all this stuff. And I was seeing if maybe you could give me some ideas on how to raise some money. Absolutely, Sandy. So he helped work with me and helped me at that time. And then he passed away. And the Olympic Committee and a teammate of mine was Olympian, and they asked us if we had Olympic flag, and I had Olympic flag. And so they said, would you take this Olympic, would you give the Olympic flag and have it placed over his coffin in the state rotunda? And I said, yes. So this was the flag that's over Jesse's Jesse's coffin. And for me, I was fortunate enough to have a relationship with him and call him a friend. And that's, for me, that was a big deal. Yeah.
Awesome. And so that would be one more person that you would want to have a cup of coffee with one last time, huh?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. This Jesse set a world's record when he was in high school. I mean, the guy,
yeah,
just amazing. So, and the other, I'm going to just quickly say, I said, Jesse, because he at that time before Munich was helping the Olympic Committee sell Olympic gold coins and raise millions for him. And so I said, can you have the Olympic Committee help me? He goes, Sandy, no. He says, but I'll have the German Olympic Committee help you. I go, why is that? And he goes, Sandy, I get several hundred birthday cards and Christmas cards from the German people. And in reality, he did. He got me, I had a red BMW when I got off the plane in Munich. They put me up in the training center. They helped me get training time on ice. He did more for me with the German people than our own U.S. Olympic Committee. So, yeah,
wow.
It's some great stories that people really know, should know just how special he was. He was a good guy. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. Well, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure you go check out XEndurace. I'll put a link down in the description below. Also, you can use my code at checkout, which is John C15. Get 15% off your order. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I have some data. I have some of my own testing data because I tested it all out before. Once I saw the product and I bought the product, I tested it out for myself. So I do have data on that. I did a specific protocol where I did a 7-day trial, that I did a 14-day trial. So I did a test on day 1, then I did a test on day 7, then I did a test on day 14. So I can send you all that data, not hiding anything. It's pretty cool, actually. And then, if you want to, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and go check us out on Out of Collective. But other than that, we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks. Cheers.
John, thank you.